Welcome to 4.1 Lab 3. Continuing on our if statements. Open this up in your browser and your editor and go ahead and fill in your information. Let's dive into the steps here of the lab. So we're going to have a variables, declaration section, assignments, and logic and output section. This one our logic and output are tied together. And then what we're going to do is we're going to declare a variable to hold the first string, a variable to hold the second string, and then we're going to prompt the user to enter a string, and we'll store that in our first string variable. Then we're going to prompt the user to enter a second string and store that in a second string variable. Then we're going to do a comparison using if statements of our strings. Now, this was talked about a little bit in the other material here in the learning plan, but here what we're doing is we're comparing not numbers like we did before, but we're comparing strings. And this, you need to think in terms of alphabetical. So if you start, the way I picture it is in my head, since we read left to right, I start with A on my left and go to Z on the right. So A starts off on the left, and as I read through, you go through and Z is at the end. And then capitals, capital A and then lowercase a, capital B, lowercase b, going left to right as far as you go through the greater than, less than symbols. Sounds confusing. What we're going to do is dive into the code and then come back here and show it to you. But before we do that, just like planning lists, here we're introducing test plans. When you go and develop software, one of the things you do, and this is to introduce you to a concept called test-driven development. What you do is you build your tests first, what you expect your software to do, and then you actually write your software to have it do what you want it to do. So in this case, I'm going to have inputs of Fred with a capital F, Fred with a lowercase f, and then it's going to say very good, Fred with a lowercase comes after Fred with an uppercase. Because remember I said in your mind, think left to right, capital A, lowercase a, capital B, lowercase b. So capitals come before lowercase. Then I'm going to test the opposite, and it should say Fred is the same or does not sort after Fred. Please try again. And then I'm going to do it with Fred lowercase both, and it should say the same. And then if I do uppercase A and lowercase a, it should say very good, A lowercase comes after A uppercase. Okay. So let's take a look at our code. I have my variable section with my first string and second string. And then I have first string, I'm prompting for a string of text. And then second string, I'm prompting for a string of text. But I'm telling them put a string that will sort after the first string, just to give them a little hint. And then I'm using if-else statements here. So if the first string is less than the second string, because if it starts on the left-hand side, it's less than. As you go to the right, it's greater than. So that's how I think of it anyway. You can use your own method. Then it's going to say very good. Second string comes after first string. Else, it's going to say second string is the same or does not come after. So again, if you go look at the alphabet, starting on the left-hand side with A, that's less than, that's spot number 1 versus spot number 26, which is Z, and that's greater than. So let's take a look and see how this works. So first I'm going to do capital F Fred, and then lowercase f Fred, and it'll say, very good, Fred lowercase comes after Fred uppercase. Let me try it the opposite way. Lowercase Fred, uppercase Fred, it'll say, Fred is the same or does not sort after Fred. Please try again. Let me try both lowercase Fred, lowercase Fred. It says Fred is the same or does not sort after Fred. Please try again. And I'll finally try my A's. Capital A, lowercase a. It says very good, A lowercase comes after A uppercase. So let me try a couple just so we can solidify in our minds how you sort strings. If A and then B, it should say, very good, B comes after A, because A, my first string, is less than B, my second string, from left to right as we're reading the alphabet. So I know that may seem a little weird. It was to me at first. But you can sort strings that way. Now there is just as a side note, there is a sort method that you can use in JavaScript, but you need to understand kind of how it sorts. So you understand why one comes before the other, uppercase, lowercase, and of course in the alphabet. So hopefully that helps you out. Have fun with it, and happy coding.